The classic 60-second wait. Is it going
The
to
Sith
load
wait.
or is it me?
Is it gonna crap out? What's going on?
Who knows? All right, there we are. I think we're on.
Are we on?
I think we're on.
Oh.
Wow, you're really loud all of a sudden. Cool. All right, I think that's it. Yay! Hooray!
Oh, good.
Don't you love it when OBS and Zoom and Windows changes like everything? Oh, it's so nice. Welcome to Talking Heads, everyone. Episode 280, your once-weekly live show for the latest in beer and tech news. I'm Jeff.
And I'm Steve.
Welcome to the show, everyone. Thank you all so much for joining us on this Wednesday night or in podcast form over on Anchor.fm or wherever your favorite podcasts are found. If you've never seen the show before, we talk beer, we talk tech, we talk games, pop culture, entertainment, usually some Star Trek. All super chats are read on the air so long as they will not permanently demonetize the channel. We do drink alcohol on the show, and if you're drinking along with us, alcoholic or not, let us know in the chat and we'll give some early show shoutouts as we go along. Last but not least, if you'd like to take part in the super secret chat and the even more super secret after party, think about joining the Patreon. Link is down in the video description. As a bonus, you'll get exclusive access to my Discord server where you can chat with myself, John, Rhett, Steve, all the hosts from Talking Heads, and join the awesome community that hangs out over there, and literally help me keep the lights on and continue doing the awesome things that I do here.
You got that spiel down packed.
It's like I've done it before.
You gotta do it like the guy who used to do the micro machines. Just talk it really fast.
Yeah.
Especially for late. Then you just get it out of the way like within 30 seconds.
Yeah. Valid only where allowed by law. Or allowed by law. Yeah.
You gotta get one of those guys at the end of the pharmaceutical commercials.
Right.
You rattle off all the side effects really, really fast.
May cause gastric distress.
Yes. It may cause explosive diarrhea. You didn't hear that from me.
Oh, it's going to be a good show. The RTX 4070 reviews are out, and you hate to see it. Let's see. Intel may be becoming an ARM manufacturer sooner rather than later. Ads are coming to Windows 11, like we already knew that, and more. We do have a super chat, or 2 or 3. Yes, we do. Yeah, we're a couple minutes late. Hashtag blame Steve.
Yes, you can.
So, let's see. Alchemist, N2O, nitrous oxide. That's not a bad way to spend an evening. $5, thank you very much. Big fan of the YouTube channel. Tech and beers, best combo. I agree. You sprinkle in some Star Trek where applicable, and yeah, it's a good combo here. And I will say N2O is better than H2SO4. So. Let's see. Sulfuric acid for those who don't get chemistry.
Yeah, hydrochloric sulfuric acid, yeah.
Let's see. Kren, 2 Aussie bucks. Thank you very much. G'day, mates. How you getting on? Ethan, $5. Thank you very much, Ethan. Any suggestions on how to use a Rock 5B? I already have a home lab and was gifted one. I'm assuming you mean the Rock Pi 5B. Let me refresh my memory as far as that one. Is that the new 3588? Yes, it is. Great question. I have one as well. I actually just got in an MMC module for it. Rather than loading off SD, I was going to load a 64 gig eMMC onto it. But basically, from what I understand about the RK3588 is there's basic support in Ubuntu, but it's not fully fleshed out as far as like full access to graphics, 3D acceleration, and that kind of thing. Really, these are kind of designed for Android. But as the 3588 is getting more popular and Rockchip in general, CPU, APU combos are getting more popular, we are starting to see some more mainstream ARM Linux adoption, which I think will definitely help it long term when it comes to home lab clustering, Kubernetes, or even little gaming consoles and things like that. So At the moment, I think Android is where you have to go, which doesn't make them great for home lab, but it will run basic ARM Linux, and so anything you can do on there, you can probably do on the Rock chip. Hope that answers the question. Novella Hub's got a Southern Tier Brewing Peanut Butter Cup Imperial Stout, 10%.
Well, that's good. 10%.
3.92. Excellent. Well, if you're balking over that, you're going to love one of my brews. Let's see. Jeff
Dr.
is
Pepper and whiskey.
low.
Yeah, they say just 2 more decibels and you should be even with me.
Boop. There we go.
There you
Check.
go.
Boop. All right, let's try that.
Better? Is that better?
I don't know.
It sounds even to me.
All right. Steve was way louder. Yeah. Again, OBS seems to have changed the way that they handle both input and output capturing. What I mean by that is I don't have a dedicated input here for Steve.
Mm-hmm.
Steve, I am capturing the headphone output from my PC. Now before, it would just say, oh, there's a signal there, let me throw it into OBS and we'll play it, and you can adjust your level in OBS. But now the output level of that headphone amp, so the Windows volume slider, determines the level that OBS gets to read it at. And so our problem for the last couple of weeks was that I had it turned way down in my ear because I have a headphone amplifier at my desk, and so I gave it really low signal and then turned it up on the headphone amp. You get nice, clean, crisp audio. Unfortunately, OBS was getting like 8%. So I figured out if I turn that up and turn my headphone amp down, I can kind of balance it back out. But now it seems that my audio input is also being a little tricky and touchy now. Just can't win.
Nope.
I need a broadcast technician for the stream.
You need a third employee.
What's he
Rhett's not good
doing
enough
on Wednesday nights? Can I have him come
he's
here
not
and
doing
just audio
he's
mix
not doing
for me?
anything. Yeah,
That'd be fantastic.
I'm sure he'd love to fly in just for no reason.
Yeah. All right. Let's go ahead and get this show started the best way we know how. Steve, what do you got lined up for tonight?
Okay, so I found this at the store. I was kind of excited because it was something I had never seen before or tried, but it came in a 22 bomber, so I'm probably only going to get to drink one thing tonight. And this is the Breakside Life Volume 4,
Ooh.
and it is their barley wine, 9% barley wine.
That sounds good tonight.
I know.
That sounds really good tonight.
I went through how many IPAs last time?
Yeah.
I'm kind of sick of them. I kind of want something malty. Now, I do have a spare IPA just in case I do power through it. I find it absolutely
prismatic?
delicious.
Yeah.
I got Trailhead, a tropical IPA from Nicosia.
Okay,
so
gotcha.
I think I've had that one before, but I just grabbed it just in case.
Yep. That's a great classic. Now, I almost made a terrible, terrible mistake earlier this week. So we were going to shoot on Monday, and I went, well, I have a beer that I've been wanting to drink. It's an IPA, 6.5%, nice easy drinker. I reached into my fridge, and what I saw were these. Okay? Very, very distinctly similar can arts. They're both that black on white pencil drawing kind of style. They're both, creepy reapers, and at a glance,
dark gothic type stuff.
You'd be forgiven for grabbing one instead of the other. This one is from Old Mother Brewing. It is the Black Impressionist IPA, 6.3%. Good. Okay. Good. And I was looking forward to this one. This one is not. This is Adroit Theory Confessions 666 Ghost. Can number 1482 out of 2400.
Oh, yeah.
16.5%. They're
well, maybe drink that the after party. I don't know.
Apart.
Adroit Theory is so good. After stuff is delicious.
It is. So I plan on having the IPA now. I'm going to let the stout kind of warm up a little bit. And then that'll be my second half of the show / after party / Jeff doesn't have to do anything for the rest of the day.
Yeah, there you go.
So yeah, that's my plan for tonight. But yeah, 16.5.
Yeah. No, I was a little worried 'cause I got 22 ounces of a 9% to get through.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be pretty happy at the end of the show.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
Oh,
but I am looking forward. Go ahead.
By the way, this is an IPA.
No. Oh, that's a black IPA. It's a
IPA.
CDA.
Yeah.
CDA then.
Yep.
Yeah, CDA. Cascadian Dark Ale.
Yep.
Yeah, they don't make that style too much anymore.
They don't. Yeah, this is called their Black Impressionist IPA. From Old Mother Brewing. And it is super dark.
Oh, I got a nice
Wow.
gold, reddish hue.
Even for a black IPA, I don't know I've ever had one this.
Not that dark. That looks like a stout.
It looks like a stout.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's no light getting through that at all. Like,
wow.
dang. All right.
All right, this one's tasting to me more like a strong ale than it is a barley wine.
Mm-hmm.
Still good.
At 9%, I understand that.
Yeah.
You're not quite as broken down and viscous and whatnot. So yeah,
It's fine. It's a totally fine beer. It's just, I look forward and I measure things up to like Mother of All Storms and all the other great barley wines that we have, and this is not quite there. It's okay, but it's not like up there. It's
it also
not
doesn't
super rich and moldy.
scratch that itch.
No.
Yeah.
That's 9%. It's fine. I'll power through it.
Yeah, it's no Pelican Mother of All Storms.
No, absolutely not. But of course, this is kind of cold too, so it might change as it warms up.
It's true. Okay.
Which will be okay with that.
Yeah. Awesome. Let's see if we had a couple others in chat. We'll get to them real quick. Michael's drinking a Brewdog Brewing Hazy Jane New England IPA, 7.2%. Let's see. Oh, missed one. Williams got a Badger Hill Brewing Badger Snack Peanut Butter Stout, 6.3%.
Oh, another peanut butter stout.
Yep. Couple of them now. Fuzzy One's having a Dr. Pepper and whiskey. It's a good combo. It's an underrated combo, I think.
I don't think I've ever... Well, I don't drink Dr. Pepper that much.
Uh-huh.
But, I mean, like, you get a cheap whiskey, like Seagram's, and mix it with Coke, fine. That's cool.
Yeah.
I never tried it with Dr. Pepper, though.
Yeah.
I'll have to try that next time.
No, it's nice. Everyone knows I'm on the rye train, but, a good... 100 proof rye, like a Rittenhouse 100 proof for Bottled and Bond or something like that. It's a solid addition to a Dr. Pepper.
Okay.
Let's see. Brett's got a Basil Hayden Old Fashioned. Very
delicious.
nice. And I think that's all I see right off the bat. Spectre's got a Diet Dr. Pepper. Cool.
An IBC root beer.
IBC root beer. Just doing the classic Lagunitas IPA from Zeus. That's not a bad way to go at all.
Lagunitas IPA is good too, yeah. Especially you get those tall boys for like, what, $2.50 now? Are those Lagunitas?
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah.
Or you get the Maximus, their 9% IPA.
Well, I know that they have, I see the Ninkasi's, Megalodoms and stuff like that, which are like 8-9%, and you can get those for about $2.50 too. That's like the most bang for your buck right there. And that's in a tall boy. This is not like a 16 ounce. This is a tall boy.
Right. And finally, Net Guy chimes in with $5. Thank you very much, Net Guy. Hello from the Southwest on vacay. What was wrong with the stream PC after all? What diagnostics apps finally figured it out? You're assuming I figured that one out.
Yeah, we were talking about this before as we started.
Hold on.
I don't want to give any spoilers, but she's dead, Jim.
Gotta get my headphones back in. There we go. So here is the stream PC, exactly as I pulled it out of that last week. I spent all day Thursday trying to figure out what in the world is wrong. So if you didn't watch the show last week, we had about a 35-minute late start because 5 minutes before the show, I was having issues with Zoom and OBS and the OBS virtual camera talking to each other, which is how we do the live show, where Steve can see the broadcast as it's happening. He doesn't have to have like 30 windows open. He can just see the show. Works really well. And that thing wasn't happening between OBS and Zoom. And so I'm like, it's happened a couple times. I'll reboot the machine. I rebooted. Windows shut down. And the system rebooted real quick. And the fans ramped up to 100%. And then they just stayed there. And they stayed there.
They stayed there.
So I'm like, well, that's bad. So I shut down the system. Tried to power it back on. It powered up. Waited about 5 or 10 seconds. The fans ramped to 100% again. And stayed there. No video, no lights, no beeps, no weird smoke, no nothing. Just, well, crap. Well, you know, I've been playing around quite a bit with PCI Express cards, and I added a 100 gig networking card and things like that. Maybe there's just something that's going a little haywire with it. And so I pulled out the 100 gig network card, and I pulled out my secondary capture card. I have 2 capture cards that I use in this PC, one for VGA input, it's a native analog or DVI input, and then I have a Blackmagic DeckLink 4x4K60 for doing all my other capture, cameras and desktop capture and things like that. So I pulled out everything I didn't need, and it still didn't start up. So at that point, it's like, well, I got to get the show running. And so I took all my cameras and everything over to the other PC and imported OBS templates, and that whole process took like 30 minutes. The next day, got the PC up on my bench and started trying to troubleshoot it. And I think I got video out of it once, where it at least showed like my network, you know, hit Shift F10 for, you know, Pixie diagnostic or something like that, to set up Pixie boot on the Ethernet. But that's as much video as I ever got. It's as much signs of life as I ever got. The fans never ramped down. And it still doesn't really want to boot. So I'm not sure. Sent it to Tech Yes City with Australian shipments. Why? He'd probably just tell me it's a crap motherboard with MOSFETs that hit 120 degrees. Tech Yes City's in Japan right now. Sorry, I don't mean to be salty. Tech Yes City, I love Brian. I love what he does. I've had beers with the guy. He's a genuinely super nice guy. I do disagree on his video that he just posted on the earring videos, though, because you have to understand what those motherboards are. For those who haven't seen it, he posted about the earring 11800H motherboards that I've done 2 or 3 pieces on now, and I stand by. I think they're fantastic values. But he got into him and finally got his hands on one, and he proceeded to overclock his to 4.4 gigahertz on all cores and sent 100 watts through the board, and he goes, this is just crap. The VRM's running at 105. Yeah, it's a 45 watt chip. It turbos to like 82 momentarily on performance cores. But, or sorry, not on performance cores, but on you know, a couple of cores. But then even on its own, after like 20 seconds, it'll downclock itself to, gosh, something around 60 watts, and then after another 60 seconds, it'll clock down to 45, and that's what it's designed to do in a laptop.
You're saying he should have lower expectations. Lowered expectations.
Well, when you take a 45 watt chip and a thermal or a power delivery that, by the way, is up to the task of 100 watts. I'll get into that in a second. I did the same test as him. After that video came out, I grabbed my thermal camera. I fired up my Earring on the test bench again. I ran my 72 watt overclock, which was 4.1 gigahertz all cores, and just said, hey, sustain your turbo. And I ran Cinebench R23 and let it do a 10-minute burn-in. After like 7 or 8 minutes, everything had equalized. My VRM was at 58 degrees.
That's
running
fine.
at 72 watts, running at a 50% overclock.
That's acceptable.
MOSFETs, the MOSFETs on that board are designed to run at 125. PC enthusiasts make this mistake all the time, where they see any temperature approaching 90 and they lose their minds. They forget MOSFETs are not silicon. MOSFETs are not processors. GPUs are not processors. MOSFETs are designed to run at a much higher temperature. And a lack of cooling on a board like that is not a concern to me at all. Even in his 100-watt test, when he was hitting 105 on those MOSFETs, I think that's halfway acceptable, because you get a little bit of a breeze, not just sitting on an open test bench with no airflow. Those will drop 10 degrees. They're not generating that much heat.
Mm-hmm.
So, but at a reasonable tick, at something that I would expect to be able to run on a 11th gen mobile CPU at 45 watts, or at 70 watts even, 58 degrees. Open test bench, no airflow. Same room temperature as Brian. So I don't think it's... I'll close with this. Gosh, do I have that motherboard within reach? You know, give me 10 seconds. Give me 10 seconds here.
10 seconds. He's got to go get the board now. You got him all riled up. Now he's got to go get tech out from a shelf somewhere. You guys just know how to push his buttons.
I love that this is a thing, okay? All too often I will see YouTube channels, lots of them and lots of big names, look at a motherboard, look at a VRM configuration, and just glancing at it and go, boy, that's piss poor. What was Gigabyte even thinking with that? There's no way that'll run a 120 watt CPU at the wattage that it's expected of. All of them have been guilty of it at some point. Okay? I present for evidence this motherboard right here. This is a Supermicro X13, X12. X12, I think. This is a Cascade Lake motherboard.
Yeah.
The CPU is 190 watts, and it's designed to run at 190 watts, 24/7, 365, and be 100% stable for 5 solid years. That's the VRM. That's all of it. This has less VRM than that Erying motherboard does. Now, yes, this is expected to have server airflow, but the components themselves are less than what the Erying board has. And that's a 45 watt mobile CPU. That might draw 70 under, pretty decent boost scenarios. So, I don't... Dropped my water bottle. I don't fault Brian for kind of falling into that trap of, wow, 90 degrees out of the box, holy crap. But you always have to remember VRMs are a little different. And they're not going to... unless they're desoldering themselves, they're probably
you don't have
fine.
to worry about anything.
Yeah. Now, if I was looking for XOC, if I was looking for, top-end clocks, full-on liquid cool, yeah, I would be a little upset if that's the VRM that it came with, because I'm going for absolute stability. I need the best power delivery possible. It's a $140 board. Again, on a mobile CPU. It's 8 times better than any laptop power delivery that has ever been delivered on any laptop ever.
Oh, yeah.
But it's not good enough. Brian, I love you. Let's have another beer and let's talk about it. Oh. Great. Now Tech Yes City fans are going to hate me. A couple of super chats. Tech Geek chimes in. $50. Thank you very much. Cycle late to the party. Just got home from work, so we'll be catching up. Excellent. Just fast forward through the last 10 minutes. You're fine. Denver, $10. 4090 is still probably a lower margin card than the 4070 non-TI. The TI is less than half the card of the 4090. Historically, this would put it at 1/3 to 1/4 or 529 to 400 for the TI. Yes, but also no. But great segue. Segue into exactly what we wanted to talk about, and that is the RTX 4070. Reviews are live. You can buy them on store shelves today. And who'd have thought? They roughly came in about the performance of an RTX 3080, but for $100 less, and with more RT cores, with more memory, and more features. DLSS 3.0.
DLSS 3 is going to be on there,
the biggest,
the more important one,
selling feature of it. So, a whole bunch of reviews up. I watched probably 6 of them on YouTube this morning, and got kind of a general gist. And a lot of the reviewers are still very upset about the cards, and I think rightfully so when you take a look at where money is being bled out of consumers right now. It's in the top-end graphics card market.
It is 100%,
and it has been. Really, you can go back to Pascal.
Beginning of 2020. Yeah, it's been a while.
You can go before 2020. You can go back to Turing's release of not giving us better performance per dollar, and then simply increasing the cost, but not increasing the performance per dollar. Where technology is supposed to equalize and become more efficient and more accessible. Tech is supposed to trickle down to lower end stacks, to more affordable pieces of the same tech. And so it's okay if you come out with a Titan for $1,200. But understand that most people are going to have 250. You can put the same tech in a GTX 1060. Sweet. I'm happy. Yeah, it's 1/3 the performance. I don't care. I got my card. And I can game. And I can buy a new graphics card now. Pascal came out. GTX 1080. $500.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
And that was surprising at the time, too.
Right. And it was actually a very good value. I think it launched at $599 and then it eventually came down to $499. But top flight flagship graphics card, $500. You fast forward to Turing, and the 2080 card, it was $800.
Oh yeah, it was a big jump.
Well, yeah, it beat the 1080. But it should have beat the 1080.
Yeah, definitely should beat the 1080. But it didn't. If I recall right, it didn't beat it by much performance.
No, the 2070 was the same performance as a 1080 in rasterization, and really had nothing as far as ray tracing goes. And guess what? It was $499. Same price, same performance.
Yep.
No upgrade. Yep. Skip it. Well, cool.
Yep.
Well, let's move on to 3000 series. Let's go. Yeah, everyone kind of knew Turing was a little bit of a bomb, a little bit of a dud on arrival. let's go, Ampere. Let's look at, we finally arrived. Cool. 3090, $1,500.
Yeah.
It's expensive.
That's insane.
Not
it's a little bit.
Not exactly a consumer graphics card. Okay. 3080, $1,000. Cool. Still double the price of 2 generations ago, the same 80 series card. But hey, twice as fast as the 1080. I would certainly hope so at $1,000, but performance per dollar, it's the same.
It's same. You're getting equal. You're not getting
doubled,
better.
But you also doubled my price. And then there was the 3070, which came out at $499. But it was never once available for $499 at retail.
Never.
It was $800 on arrival with every single board partner card, and it's the series that made EVGA say, F this, I'm not playing your game anymore, NVIDIA, and left the graphics card market entirely. But even had the card been available for like $600, it wasn't. It was a better card than the GTX 1080, but not by $300, and probably not even by $100 when it comes to price to performance, because it just wasn't. Yes, the 3070 was better than the 2080, which it probably should be, but at $700, it's the same price to performance as a GTX 1080. Well, now, finally, we have a single card in the market that is better performance than a GTX 1080 for about the same price.
Yeah. They finally upped it a little bit.
$600, and we finally have the RTX 4070. We also jump up from 8 gigabytes of RAM, because who uses that in 2023, to 12 gigabytes of GDDR6X. Right. 5,888 CUDA cores, and the list goes on and on. So this is it. This is the graphics card that we've been waiting for almost pushing 7 years now.
Yeah.
To finally dethrone the GTX 1080 at retail when it comes to price to performance.
And the price performance jump is, it's not that much, really. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's nice, and it is the new king of the mid-range price to performance card. Mm-hmm. But when you think of like the price performance that you get, it really isn't that terribly much, because they're considering what the not a 4K card, but it's a
1440p
card.
Yeah. Now, since the Pascal days, we've also, I think, as consumers, as reviewers, as enthusiasts, we've stopped seeing 60 as the threshold. And what I mean by that is, in 2017, late 2016, when Pascal came out, we went, I can play every single game at 1080p, 60 FPS.
Easy.
That was the goal.
No brainer. Yeah.
And, if we can get 80 FPS and lows of like 50, suck it, consoles, right? Mm-hmm. Like PC Master Race. If you have a game that drops below 100 FPS now, whoa. Not cool, man.
Well, that's because everybody's got the V-Sync or the FreeSync and all those nice new sync monitors.
140 plus FPS monitors are now well more affordable than graphics cards.
Oh, they're super commonplace now.
Think about 6 years ago what it cost to get a 144 hertz monitor at 1080p, let alone 1440, let alone 4K. Yeah. I mean, you were talking $1,000 for a 1440p 144 hertz monitor. Now you can get a 1440p 144 hertz for like $300.
Oh, I've seen them for $250.
Yeah, and
they're coming down.
Right, and in a world where graphics cards have been $800 and up for the last 5-6 years, Yeah, I'll treat myself. I'll up from a 60 hertz monitor to a 144, you know, and that's what a lot of people did. And so now the perception is, well, 60 is not okay because I have a 144 hertz monitor now.
And I want to eat that 144 hertz up.
Right.
Yeah.
There's been a shift in perception of what is acceptable performance at this price point as well.
Yeah.
We're faced with one more kind of elephant in the room when it comes to a $600 graphics card going, finally, an affordable win for the consumers. Where's the $200 card?
Yeah, we still don't really have
Where's
that.
the card that everyone else can still afford? $600 is not an impulse purchase price. $600 is not what I have burning a hole in my pocket. I have friends who, for years, they would think about building a computer and they'd finally spring on one, and they'd go like, I got $800 all in. Well, cool. You can't buy a brand new graphics card and put it in your brand new computer for less than $800 today. It's not possible.
I mean, you could go lower, but you'd be going previous gen.
RX 6400. I got your back, bro. You can't. It doesn't exist. AMD has that card that everyone can afford. Yeah, the 6650 is kind of that sweet middle ground, but at the same time, it's still like $380.
Yeah.
Like, if I'm in the market for an i3 13100, or, you know, what's the 5600 going for even these days? Is it still $199? Is it $179? Like, you know, motherboards are way more expensive than they used to be. Like a decent motherboard is $200 and up now, whereas
but you can still find a decent budget board too.
They're fewer and far between than they used to be, and part and parcel just because reviewers always go, well, I would never use that VRM with this 70-watt CPU. Right. And so now all of a sudden, like, your, you know, B660 motherboard needs a freaking 12x4 phase VRM power delivery. It's like, what CPU are you rocking? Oh, I've got an i5, you know, 12th gen. Well, cool. What's your VRM good for? It's good for 1200 watts.
Jeff, are you blaming your industry for the price increase of technology?
Partially, yes.
Yeah.
And this is not the first time that I've taken this viewpoint either. Is we as reviewers have to sit down and think critically about what we're reviewing. And well, I'm going to make everyone happy today. I've talked about my feelings around Gamers Nexus on their review methodologies, where yes, they're incredibly accurate, but the problem is the conclusions that Gamers Nexus often draws are based on zero compromise. They're based on this is the absolute best and everything sucks this much more compared to that top end thing. That's why you have benchmark charts that are literally taller than I can reach my arms on the screen to display.
They're chasing the Silicon Dragons.
Where they're, you know, on a 1080p or 4K YouTube video, they're posting like 7-point font with bar graphs that you can barely read because they test everything against everything. And not every system needs to have the same level of performance. In fact, the cheaper you go and the less performance you have and the less stringent your requirements are, the more PC building rules you can break, because you're not talking about that much power, that much heat generation, that much cooling, that much dissipation, that insane need for refresh rates and frame times and everything else. The lower your expectations, the easier it is.
If you keep everybody's expectations super high, they're going to be seeking those results.
Right.
And when they don't get it, they feel like they've been ripped off.
If every motherboard is tested against an MSI Godlike, then every motherboard sucks.
Yeah.
Including the Godlike, because it's not the greatest board ever. But there's no reason you shouldn't be able to take a $80 board off the shelf and stick whatever processor you want and run it at stock speeds. Every single chipset that supports that socket is designed to do that and certified by the chip makers. So every single... I got so much crap when I built a system based off of an A520 motherboard. They're like, why would you even go with that crap? Well, it was $20 cheaper. It was 3/4 the cost. And yeah, it's only $20. But I'm using the graphics card slot and an NVMe, and I need 2 DIMM slots. And it needs to provide 65 watts of power to my CPU. I don't need to spend the extra $20 because there's 0 features and 0 benefits that I would get from buying a B550. Well, the A520s are just for OEMs. Okay, but it was $20 cheaper.
So what you're saying is knowing is half the battle, and the other half the battle is frustration because
the other half of the battle is context. Understanding the context of what you're judging and how you're judging it.
What I'm saying is, like, like, okay, this is the pinnacle because you watched the video, so you have the knowledge of what is the best. So if you go out and get something and it doesn't meet those expectations, you're going to be disappointed, and then you're going to be chasing that Silicon Dragon again. I need better, I need higher. Whereas if you don't know what the pinnacle is, ignorance is bliss. I'm going to say, it's like, I don't know what 60 FPS is. I don't know.
Right.
You're going to be happy. My 6-year-old son will sit there and play Minecraft, and sometimes it tanks down to like 30 frames per second. He doesn't care.
Yeah.
He doesn't know.
Yeah. One of my favorite
having
comparisons is what was one of the PC gamers' guilty pleasures in 2016? It was all of us went out and bought a Nintendo Switch so we could play Breath of the Wild. Because there's no other way that that game ran at 24 FPS in handheld mode on the Nintendo Switch, and we freaking ate it up.
Yeah.
And as Elmo says, $20 that you can spend on more RGB, right? That buys me 3 extra fans that I can bling out my case.
More RGB fans.
Right. For components that are going to make no appreciable or even measurable performance difference when building a PC. Especially at the price points that you're building them at. If I'm buying an A520 motherboard, I'm not pairing it with a 5950X, although you probably could, and it would probably still run at stock speeds. Just saying. Including, precision boost and all that. Like, are you going to be able to run your memory at 4800? No. Are you going to be able to do this? Are you going to be able to load it up with NVMe drives? And, oh no, we don't have PCI Express 5 on one of the lower slots. You don't use it anyway. What are you yelling at me for? But if you're buying an A520 motherboard, you're buying a 5600 or a 5400 or whatever the lower end of the Zen 3 chips are. Yeah. If you're buying an H610, I'm assuming you're putting in like a 13100 or a 12400 if you really stretched your budget. You're not putting in a 13900K with water cooling and 7800 MTS memory and 4 NVMe drive. You're not doing that. So stop judging it on those criteria. You as a consumer and us as reviewers both. Budget is a context, and you have to reserve your judgment based within that context. And why aren't motherboards affordable anymore? Steve was really critical at some point.
Not me, Steve.
No, not. I
mean, I was, but not towards motherboards.
Yeah.
Towards beer, definitely, but yeah, not towards motherboards.
Yeah. That's my high horse, and I do hope the other YouTubers watch this because I would love to hear. And I know I'm kind of putting like Gamers Nexus in the crosshairs here, but a lot of reviewers have been guilty of this at some point in time. I know, heck, even I've been elitist in some points of view in some of my videos looking back. I'm not immune to this either. But I remember reviews for graphics cards. I don't remember what series they were, but I remember Hardware Unboxed kind of got under my skin a little bit for one specific video. And again, I love Steve and Tim. They both do there's a lot of Steves in this industry, Steve. I love Steve and I love Tim. They're great guys. But they were doing a review for a set of graphics cards, and they had 4 identical graphics card GPUs from 4 AIBs, and they were benching them all against each other. And VRM came into the discussion, and they said all of these other cards are running their VRMs at like 72 degrees, but then this MSI is hitting 86, and that's just not acceptable in today's. Those run at 110. I looked up the MOSFETs for that card, and I feel like I remember they were 110 degrees rated. They're running 30 degrees under spec instead of 47, and you're slamming them for that. Why? What appreciable difference does the VRM temperature being 10 degrees more on this card than the other card make when it comes to performance, reliability, longevity, price per dollar, component? What difference does it make? Yes, it's a measurable spec, but what's the context and what difference does it make? Does it make a difference to the consumer? If it doesn't,
why would they care?
If it runs
most computers don't really care about
the
temperature difference.
If it was flirting with the edge, if it was flying too close to the sun and 99 degrees versus the others are running at 72, yes, we need to know that. And yes, you should be looking at VRM temp when you're doing reviews on a motherboard, a graphics card, whatever. But there's a range that it's okay, and it's unconsequential to even report the number. And when you're talking graphics cards, that number happens to be between like 60 and 90. Like, it doesn't matter. Because it won't matter to you ever as a consumer.
Bragging points, and that's about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like I said, unless it gets really up there.
Yeah. Right. Do tech tubers have to change their name to Steve? Is it a tradition? Yeah, I think once you hit 450K, you have to change your name to Steve. So my time is coming.
I don't think it's a name anymore. It's like a title.
Right.
You become a Steve, like honorary a captain Steve. Or an admiral. It's you become a Steve. You get the rank of Steve.
You thought they were named Steve? No.
No. That's the rank.
It is hi Steve Jeff to you. Denver sends over $10. Thank you very much. I used to buy multiple GPUs from every gen, from both 60 class 6080 stung, 60 class 1080 hurt, but $900 60 class 12 gig 4080 2020 changed for me. I got a Steam Deck and stopped using my desktops for gaming. Yeah, and then another $5. I put my money where my mouth is and bought multiple A770s. I want a third competitor, and I just hope they don't join the NVIDIA AMD cartel. We're all hoping Intel starts bringing competitive cards to market, and if you look at some of their enterprise GPU announcements, right now the A770, their flagship card, which is still 15-20% faster than a GTX 1080 in pretty much every respect. Yeah. Outside of a couple weird anomalies. It's a great graphics card for $350. In fact, I think it's $280 now. Like it massively price dropped.
It's I think on sale you can get it for like $280, $289 or something like that.
Right. So fantastic deal. If you've been on the fence about graphics cards and want a new one, yeah, A770. I keep meaning to get mine onto a test bench and finally review it, but every time I try, something else comes up, like my streaming PC dies, and I have to spend the day doing that. So yeah, an A770 review will eventually be happening. But if you look at Intel's enterprise side of things, the A770 has 32 execution units. Enterprise has a GPU coming out within the next couple of months that has that same core, but with 128 execution units. Can everyone else do logarithmic extrapolation of performance level? It's a good one.
We'll have to see what the price is on that one, though.
Well, we can't afford that one.
Oh,
but,
okay.
but circling all the way back, everything that used to be enterprise and top of the line and $6,000
yeah.
trickles down to consumer parts.
Trickles down to consumer parts, yeah, eventually. Well,
So-
we would hope.
Yeah. Yeah. So keep your eyes peeled for Intel announcements, because hopefully something is coming that will kind of shake up the mid-range $700 market. And hopefully we start seeing competitors start to come back down to ranges that we can actually compete in. Why has Craft Computing stopped almost entirely doing GPU reviews? Number one, as of COVID, a lot of companies stopped talking to me because I wasn't an established graphics card reviewer. Remember, when COVID started, I had 90,000 subscribers. Now I'm at 300 and change, and they really haven't started reaching out to other partners. I've reached out a couple of times. I do have a graphics card coming for a build, but right on that cusp of like starting to get normal review samples, it all just kind of dried up. Yeah. For numerous reasons, both PR related. You're not going to give graphics cards to a person you don't know, and I was finally getting those meetings and talking to people behind the scenes. And then during COVID, the availability of review units shrank up, and so the people that you always worked with, your Linuses, your J's, your Gamers Nexuses, they got the review samples and you didn't. And that's just kind of the way it goes. So, yeah.
And honestly, I think during that time too, that was at the height of the cryptocurrency crunch.
Yeah.
They didn't have to advertise. They didn't have to get consumers in. They just put a card out, right, and people would buy it to start crypto mining.
That was another thing. I can still contact companies and a couple of months down the road say, hey, I want to do a featured build with your graphics cards. They'll send it over. Like, it's not a problem. The biggest issue has been, number one, what do I build that I feel would be applicable to my audience, to a certain price point, to whatever else. I can't just do $3,000 builds once a month. No one's going to watch that, because you can only use the A770 so many times in a PC build and go like, hey, sub $1,200. Guess what? A770. Like, you can only do that so many times. The other reason you stopped seeing a lot of in-depth graphics card reviews on Craft Computing was graphics cards got so expensive, I couldn't go buy them and justify the price to do the review. So, yeah. Eventually, I will start doing graphics card reviews again. I'd love to be on the entry level review chain, or the release day review chain. I have a couple companies that probably will work with me, but I stopped expressing interest almost 2 years ago because
yeah, it got ridiculous.
Yeah, it really did. So. We'll get back into it though. Yeah. I
mean, the getting back to the 4070 though, that does seem like a good place to start back up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
especially given that, because that's kind of what we want. Most average, enthusiasts want the best price to performance.
Mm-hmm.
And this seems to be getting back into the swing of things where we actually do see a little bit of boost for our money. So that would be a good place to start.
Yep. Yeah. I actually do have, speaking of graphics card coming in, I have a 4070 Ti coming in for this particular build. It's a fairly high-end build. I mean, 4070 Ti is not a cheap graphics card.
No, it's not.
But I kind of picked a price point, and I'm trying to give an all-around, like, no compromises without getting into luxury or insanity territory is kind of my top of the line minus 10%. That's where we're going to hit, because it's 25% cheaper. Like that.
You at like a $1,200 bill or something like that, or?
It's more than that.
A little more than that. Okay.
It's definitely more than that. It's probably a $2,000 build if I added everything up.
Okay.
But if you're looking at like, oh, I could get a 4090 and a 13900K or Threadripper, TRX 40, Threadripper Pro, like, no, we're gonna go like, what's the top of the line? Knock me down 10%. That's where I want it to be. And so it's like, it doesn't have to be 4,500, but we can get the same kind of, get the same satisfaction for like 2,000. That's the build that I'm aiming for. So stay tuned. How's your beer doing?
It's still the same. Because I haven't changed the beer. It's warmed up a little bit. I'm getting a little more malty notes to it. But it's still not scratching that itch, man. I'm looking for that mother of all storms, kind of butterscotchy, plummy, thick, rich. Yeah. It's got the malt's coming through a little bit more, but really not hitting where I want it to hit.
Yeah, because the really good barley wines I know that you like and that I like, they've got that fig, caramely, plum, rich, dank, rich flavor. And even if it's 40 degrees pour temperature, it warms your soul. Like
it does. Absolutely. It's just so wonderful.
Yeah.
You cannot beat a good barley wine.
You know what's funny is I had a red ale today that was that kind of beer.
Oh, yeah. A good red ale's good too.
It was a red ale brewed in the Northwest. So I expected a Northwest red. I expected a hoppy red. This was probably the most English style red, Irish style red that I've ever had made in the Americas. Like
super malty,
super warm. So much so that the review is really funny because I'll usually start my shoot and then I pour the beer and then I'll take a couple of sips and smell it and like, okay, where's my review at? Like, what am I sensing here? I'll read a couple of paragraphs on there and then I'll give a couple thoughts and then I'll read a couple more paragraphs and I'll give a couple more thoughts and then usually wrap it up. And so what looks like 30 seconds on camera is actually me sitting there for like 20 minutes, like swirling it around, getting some real thoughts. What are my comparisons? What price point? Where does this fit in? This one I took a drink and I literally sat in silence for like 2 minutes.
You were just in shock.
I was going, I don't know what to think of that. I was so unprepared because I went, oh, it's a red ale. It was brewed in Washington. It's 10%. Like, and I'm going, okay, I think I expect or know what to expect with this. And I took a drink and it was the polar opposite of what I expected.
Nice.
And I literally just kind of sat there going, I don't know if I like it. I don't know if I don't like it. I don't know what to think. I don't know what to look for because it doesn't have anything that I was looking for. And instead it's like hitting me from another direction. Like I was watching for the right jab and someone hit me with a left hook. Like it was.
It's just something that makes you weak in the knees as soon as you drink. You're just like, I gotta sit down.
Right.
This is so good.
So that one, it actually took me the entire 45 minutes to fully articulate what I wanted to come up with. And so I had actually finished filming the video and then I stopped and then a couple minutes later I'm like, okay, let's really dive into this. Now that I'm done reading prompt and everything else, I'm just gonna sit here and smell it for a second, really take some good sips, think of nothing but that. Damn, that's a good beer.
Now you're really talking this beer up. Are you gonna wait until you release the video?
I'm gonna wait till we release the video.
Okay. All right.
Cosworth, if you're watching, this is the red ale that you gave me. So there's a little hint. Did we spend long enough and get enough into the weeds talking about the RTX 4070 and the greater state of technological economy and integrity and contextual?
I believe we have.
As a reviewer, is everyone good?
Yes.
Is everyone good?
I think we are.
Have I earned my honorary Steve badge? Like,
not yet. You don't have the pips yet.
And again, like,
Getting close.
I ran a lot of YouTubers through the ringer in the last 30 minutes. Not out of like, I hate them and I wish they did better. No, I respect the hell out of everything that they do. And I think this is more a symptom rather than a cause of a lot of different things, because I've actually found as I did more X79 motherboards and builds and things like that, I got way more critical of some of the little things. And you have to take a step back and go like, boy, you know, like, they put the audio header in a really weird spot. What the hell is wrong with them? Do they even know how to design a motherboard? And then you go, wait, this was $50.
Yeah.
Why am I bitching?
Well, I mean, also too, there's you know,
there
when
is
you
a
when
balance
you
of
when you want
budget
like your
versus...
you want your content to also be entertaining, and you know, part of bitching and complaining about rant, you know, like the rant, people love listening to rants, even though it might not be justified, or you know, just to go off on a little tangent or something. It's pretty entertaining. So if you just sit there and go, yeah, this is fine, that's not very good content.
It's not. But I think putting it into the context of what you're actually looking at, and you can have annoyances with something regardless of how much money you spent on it. You know, we've all bought that, like, hey, I need a new juicer for my bar to like squeeze the lemons because I'm tired of doing it by hand. And you buy a juicer and it's like, it was only $8, but God, is this thing a piece of And
yeah, I know.
And
it
you
keeps
use
locking
it
up,
once
and
you're like, it's not even worth going to the post office to return it, and you just chuck it. 1 star, not recommended, and whatnot. It's like, it was $9. What did you expect? And so we can all do that because we all have our own expectations and context for which we're using something. And the same thing applies even to us as professional reviewers and media outlets, where we'll go into anything with expectations of what we want to see, what we expect to see, what we expect companies to do as far as end products, and we expect the companies to not make mistakes. And if a company makes a mistake, how do we hold that company accountable without fire and brimstone?
Or tar and feather them, or nothing like that. Or
apply fire and brimstone where necessary. Like where do you judge that? And I've been critical of some of that in the past as well, because, like it or not, company responses don't happen inside of a news cycle, don't happen inside of a 2-day YouTube video release. Like, you're not going to get a global recall you know, because you posted a video Wednesday at 7 and now it's Friday at 1 and you're on the clock. I'm going to do another video.
Well, if hundreds of YouTubers, if 100 YouTubers produce some of the same videos, then you'll probably get the quicker results.
Right.
But
so yeah, there's things as a reviewer that I try very, very hard to keep in mind, and at the forefront of that is always cost. I always approach things from a cost, honestly, like a cost-benefit analysis of, I paid X. Yeah, this isn't great about it, but what if that was great? How much more would I have to spend to get the product that has that?
To get that
great?
One,
And it's like, oh, it's a $70 motherboard. You know what? They don't have this on boards shy of $220. Who am I to complain? And that's kind of the view that I take on a lot of things. And I think that is one thing that sets me apart as a reviewer.
You know, and we've kind of talked about this. It's kind of funny how we do a lot of craft beer and we talk a lot about spirits too. It kind of dovetails a lot into that too. Yes, there's some really high-end bourbons and whiskeys that taste absolutely great.
Yeah.
But you can also go down to the $40 level and find some that taste almost as good. But you can't be critical about that. It's like, it's a $40 bottle of beer. What do you expect? Right. Or a $40 bottle of whiskey. What do you expect?
Or a $15 bottle of whiskey.
Or 50. Yeah, even you can find something to appreciate about a $15 bottle of whiskey.
Yeah.
Some cheap gut rot whiskey.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I love how you're coming down to the rest of us at $40, Steve. You gotta meet us where the plebeians live.
There's plenty of $40 to $50 bottles of bourbon that are absolutely great.
They really are. But the way you said it is, you're like, no, 85. Like that's where you want to live. I guess I can have some $40 and appreciate it for the gut rot that it is.
I keep tiers. I got my 80 tier and my 40 tier and my gut rot tier. Well, not gut rot. I like 15.
Right.
My Seagram 7s and stuff like that.
Yep. My Seagrams, my
I like
Evan
a whiskey and
Williams
Coke once in a
Bond.
while.
Right.
Yeah. But I also like sipping a high end bourbon as a nightcap. I like things.
Absolutely. Yep. All to say, this is actually a really difficult business to be in. It's you are someone who influences public opinion who is also judged in the court of public opinion.
Oh yeah. If you fling out criticisms, you got to expect criticisms back.
Right. And I welcome criticism as long as it comes from an earnest place.
Right.
Bo Burnham once said, read 10,000 YouTube comments and see if you don't feel thoroughly criticized, because old school stand-up comedians used to give him crap that he came from like YouTube and never had to do the bar tours and the grungy, nightclubs and things like that. And they're like, you never had to deal with a heckler in a crowd and whatnot. And he goes, yeah, you never had to read 10,000 YouTube comments.
Yeah.
I can't even repeat the first YouTube comment that Bo Burnham ever received on a video. I will say it in the after party because it's a frickin' riot. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, go look up. He's done a couple interviews where he's talked about the very first YouTube comment he ever got. Let's say I'd be canceled immediately for repeating it.
Yeah, can't see it.
But
Gold Flecked is the RGB of liquor.
Yeah. But yeah, like I said, I don't mind being critical of other YouTube reviewers because I live in the same industry. This is my job. I'm a full-time reviewer with a full-time employee. I understand running the business and all the aspects of that, plus all the aspects of hardware. Plus I come at it with my own expectations of being an IT professional for, 15, 16 years. I come to it with certain expectations and points of view that others may not have. If they want to be critical of me because of my overclocking prowess, I'm a terrible overclocker. Because I've never really done it, like at a high level. Like I've never built my own, sub-ambient chiller and pushed a CPU,
to the extreme,
to the extreme danger zone. That's never something that's been my jam. My jam has always been actually buying one generation back products and buying the best one that you can get. And so I was always the person that, when the 2080 came out, you would look for the people who were upgrading from the 1080 to the 2080 because they read the first review and went, oh, it's 20% faster, blah, blah, blah. And they'd be willing to dump a 1080 for like $300. That's how I built all of my computers, with the exception of one. Like up until I started the YouTube channel, I had only ever built one brand new PC. Not that I wasn't skilled in it, not that I didn't build a lot of PCs for clients and things like that, or source PCs for enterprise and everything else. It's just if I'm spending my own money and I want the best performance, I don't mind taking that 10% performance hit for buying, last generation parts or, end of model year parts at a 40% discount. That's how I always did it.
If the market ever falls out on the 101 fighting to the death market, who would be a good person for doing those extreme overclocked PCs?
Huh.
Sub-Zero. I think he'd be pretty good at that for Mortal Kombat.
Yeah. See, I'm more of a Tekken fan. So.
Oh, you were okay. There's nobody there that produces ice from their hands.
Yeah, there's not.
Yeah.
lot of fiery uppercuts and a couple of goblins.
Yeah,
but...
yeah. I mean, just think, you could be like, how Emerald Lagasse. Oh, what was this guy? The guy who used to do the bam with the spices.
Oh yeah.
He could
Yeah,
do that.
Emerald.
He could do that with the PC. He's like, oh, look, it's overclocked. Or hey, look at how high the temperature is. Bam, a little ice in there. Look what happened.
See, I'm more of an Elzar fan anyway. See what you
Oh,
got.
Elzar, yeah, Elzar, yeah,
give it
the
a good
Spice
hit,
Weasel.
Spice Weasel. Bam.
Yeah, bam.
Good times. Good times. All right. Did I miss any super chats? No. I think we are good. Cool. All right. I think we beat that topic into the ground.
Completely.
Intel is working on Let me try that again. Intel is working on optimizing its fabs to become an ARM chip manufacturer.
Yeah.
Now, Intel has dabbled in ARM before. Probably not anything that you might remember, though. Intel had a lineup of basically Arduino competitors called Intel Edison chips that were an ARM-based microcontroller that they produced for a number of years to compete with Arduino Unos and the like. Never really took off. They were Arduino compatible, but they were Intel born and bred and had a couple of extra, cool features when it came to especially their wireless tech, when they were making a lot of headway with Wi-Fi and even cellular stuff. They had a lot of cool tie-ins with that. But the company is tweaking their Intel 18A fabrication process for use with ARM designs. So Intel's 18A is their 22 nanometer process, I believe. It's their upcoming 18A.
Yeah, I don't think they have it out yet.
Yeah. I don't want to get into another rant, but can I just say Intel naming their 10 nanometer process Intel 7 is just BS.
Yeah, that does seem...
Well, it's as good as 7,
quite
but
right.
it's 10 nanometer.
Yeah.
Just call it what it is.
Yeah.
You had no problem calling it the nanometer when you were beating AMD, but as soon as someone passes you, you're like, no, we're going to name 10 nanometer Intel 7. Go to hell. All right.
It's all about marketing bragging rights.
Edison was Atom, not ARM. Good correction. No, they did something, though. Intel ARM chip. Where did they produce ARM
They
before?
did. I do recall us talking about Intel doing some ARM stuff.
Yeah.
I don't recall exactly what it was, though, either.
Yeah, you're right. Edison was Atom. Dang it. 18A is their 1.8 nanometer process. Okay, cool. So cool. Yeah, why would they go back to 14 then? Or 22? That doesn't make any sense. Yeah. But they are entering a multi-generation agreement, is what they call it, with Qualcomm and MediaTek to produce ARM chips at both their US and their Israel fabs. Let's see. Intel 18A chips for system-on-chip designs for mobile CPUs and potentially faster laptop and other component chips. Obviously, this is going pretty much directly up against TSMC, as they're the premier manufacturer of ARM devices. They make about 70% of them worldwide. Mm-hmm. Mobile phones, Raspberry Pis, embedded circuits, microcontrollers, they're responsible for pretty much all of that. Samsung is the only other one that really has any kind of production prowess to compete. Mm-hmm. Outside of... there's also Global Foundries. That's right. Yeah, kind of a shot across the bow for Intel, aimed directly at TSMC. Likely an initiative with the U.S. wanting to bring a lot of chip manufacturing.
That's right.
On
back onto U.S. soil.
US soil, right?
Yeah. Which, I think that's a good thing. Good for competition. Good for the economy. I would all for it.
Yeah. And I think this could not only be good for the U.S. economy, but the global economy, because TSMC, ever since Intel started falling off and Global Foundries kind of lost some of their market share. TSMC has been the de facto where they're making pretty much, like I said, 70% of the global
that's a
global
lot.
ARM chip market.
Yeah.
Do you realize how many products have ARM CPUs in them anymore?
Oh, most mobile ones do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, no, TSMC is used globally by basically anyone with any smart device ever.
Phones, tablets, the micro PCs like the Raspberry Pi and stuff like that. Yeah, all those.
Yeah. Qualcomm has been very vocal in wanting to get into a competitive space when it comes to not necessarily mobile as in like mobile phone, but mobile as in mobile PC, laptop, tablet, etc. And they've been really pushing Microsoft to support them when it comes to Windows on ARM with their Snapdragon, what is that, their 865 or whatever that is. But Qualcomm has had an exclusive agreement with Microsoft for being able to produce ARM processors that were compatible with Windows. That should be ending sometime soon, but that doesn't mean Qualcomm is kind of giving up the ghost there. In fact, they do have a couple of laptops out that they're not bad when it comes to ARM. I will say they're no M1 processors, and the compatibility layers inside of Windows to translate x86 into ARM instructions and back again, they're not great.
They definitely have a slowdown.
But there's a lot of hope that Qualcomm or someone similar can start integrating x86 native instruction translation a la what Apple does with the M1 and M2 processors into their ARM stacks. Now, obviously, it's going to take Qualcomm developing that instruction set and translation set to be able to make it all work. But that's really the only way forward unless Windows pivots away from x86, x64, which I really don't see happening. So unless you want to run nothing but Linux, which, hey, I'm all for it. But
I got no problem with that either.
Right. But most consumers disagree with us. That they want Windows, they want something recognizable, familiar, or intuitive enough to pick up quickly. And as much as
there's
I love Linux desktop,
a lot of Linux desktop.
Still.
They can make them look almost and perform almost exactly like Windows.
They really can. They really can. I have been dual booting lately. My GPD WinMax 2. I have a 2 terabyte SSD with Windows on it that I do 90% of my gaming anymore on this guy. And then I also have a 512 gig NVMe drive in the secondary bay, which is awesome. That a 10-inch laptop. I've got two M.2 slots.
That's cool.
In the secondary bay, I've got a 512 gig SSD that I'm running Zorin OS. And so on the Windows side of things, I'm not logged into like anything but my personal Gmail account. On the Linux side of things, I can boot into it, and I have logins for my business. And so if I want to do business stuff, I log into Linux.
Linux, it's for business.
Because then, even if I download pdf.exe, totally not a pdf.exe, they can't have my YouTube channel. So.
Linux is for business time.
That's right.
Just like a modern day anti-theft device is having manual transmission, because it's the same thing. You don't want your stuff stolen, you just put it on Linux. No one knows how to.
Yeah, you just park it in first gear, and they're like,
yeah.
I'm turning the key, but nothing's coming on. All right. Speaking of Windows, mine are about to get really fuzzy because I am going to open from Adroit Theory.
Oh, you're 16%?
Confessions,
big boy.
Russian Imperial Stout, 666 Ghost, can number 1482 out of 2400. This be a rare beer.
That's his Confessions, right?
Why? Yes, Confessions, Adroit Theory. Why is this such a rare beer? Well, it's 16.5%.
Yeah. it is. Confessions Ghost. You said it was Ghost 666?
666.
Okay, that's not it. Confessions.
Yeah, this is from my Secret Santa. Oh my god, I smell banana. From here. Like, I'm a ways away from this.
I'm only seeing Confessions Ghost 1188 on Untapped.
Nope. That's not it then.
Okay.
There's a number of confessions. There's a whole bunch of them.
Yes, I know. I know.
So, Jeff's GPD reminds me of the netbook failed form factor. Actually, what's really funny is I have a review coming up on that. I found my old Gateway 9-inch netbook that I'm using as a point of comparison. Complete with my Atom N270. Like, I am all in on it. What's really funny, this is no darker than the IPA I just drank.
I know. Well, once you taste it, though, it might be a little more viscous.
I
mean, at 16%, it's gonna have a completely different mouthfeel.
Yeah. Well, one would think.
One would think.
This smells like chocolate and banana.
Oh god, that sounds awesome.
It smells like, and it's even a little bit fruity, but not in the like, it's a fruited stout. No, that's just a bad stout. This smells like a banana split.
Oh yes, I've had beers like that before.
Like honestly, this smells like a banana split.
I think I've had an Anchorage beer that sounds very similar to that one. Almost like a chocolate banana.
I'm getting vibes of my review from earlier today with that Irish Red.
Just like being gobsmacked at the flavor profile.
Just wow.
Yeah.
Man, have I had some bangers today.
Hey, that's not a bad thing.
Yep. Vince says he loved his EPC 12-inch netbook. I had a number of different netbooks. I never had the original 701. That was the 7-inch Linux-based EPC. I did have an EPC 901 for a little while. And I don't think I would ever go smaller than 9-inch, simply because the keyboard, even at 9-inch, is way too cramped. Even on my GPD, which is a 10-inch laptop, 10.1-inch display, the keyboard is a little bit too cramped. But it works. And I love and I've always loved this tiny little form factor. When I was in college, I had a Sony Vaio laptop that was a 12.1-inch and was kind of like a precursor to an Ultrabook, where it was uber thin. And in a day where every single laptop had floppy drives and CD drives built in, yeah, not even DVD drives, CD drives, all built into it. And it's like, this has to be like a desktop replacement. This was like no, cut the crap, install the programs you need and use it. And if you need anything else, you can like dock it with something. And so I had a docking station for like this 12-inch Sony Vaio Ultrabook that had a SCSI attached CD drive and a USB floppy drive. And it was the greatest freaking laptop ever. It had a single PCMCIA expansion, for which I had a cellular modem and with full GSM Edge data. This was before 3G. And I loved that thing. Oh, and by the way, I on AT&T, you could buy a laptop data subscription, and it was like $80 a month. Or you could register a SIM card with a cell phone on like a family plan and pay $10 for unlimited MediaNet, which was their unlimited data plan for cell phones. You could then take that SIM card out, put it into a cellular modem, And as long as you knew the login credentials for MediaNet login, you could log into that, and then you just have unfettered internet access. And so I paid $10 a month for unlimited Edge data on my laptop, and it was amazing.
Okay, Jeff, I think Novella Hub actually has a point. I think you're reading your can upside down. It's Ghost 999.
Ah! They flipped it upside down, so
because I couldn't find it. Because I looked up Ghost 666.
Ghost is upside down.
Yeah. I looked up Ghost 666, and it actually brought up a beer that I would love to have. It's a port finished rye whiskey barrel, and it's 20%, and it's age rot theory.
Oh my god,
20%.
I do have a 20%er in my fridge.
Okay.
In a full pint.
Okay. But yeah, the Ghost is 999, and I have actually had this one before.
Have you?
I had. I absolutely loved it, so I know exactly what you're talking about.
Mm-hmm. What's really funny is on my previous statement, I still have that PCM CIA card. It's out in my garage. I have it on a shelf. Because it was one of my favorite things ever, where it's like, I'd go to college and it's like, I went to college at a point, I know Steve, you don't understand this, but we were starting to roll out this thing called Wi-Fi. Yeah.
That was not
Steve
in college for me.
Steve is our
not in
elder
college for me.
But we had like 2 wireless access points, and they were only at 2 buildings, and they weren't at the 2 buildings that I was going to school at. And so it's like, in between classes, do you want to walk a half mile across campus to go sit down and use your laptop at the coffee shop or whatever? No, I want to sit outside on a bench and have my laptop open and just do whatever. And so I did, and it was great. Cost me $10.
Sip a margarita. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, the good old air card, huh?
Yep.
PCM Psy, hey.
Jason says he remembers doing that on MediaNet with AT&T. Yep. I also did that later on with my Palm Trio. I had a Palm Trio that had unlimited MediaNet. Good times. Yeah, I was always the gray hat hacker. I never exploited systems that weren't inherently exploitable. Like, if you're going to charge me more just because you call something else, like if you say, we'll give you unlimited MediaNet, that is, you can use your data-connected phone and your mobile browser on your little Nokia candy bar phone. You know, you can browse ESPN and whatever else, but only MediaNet for $10 a month. Or you can buy a laptop-connected plan for $80 a month. And I go, well, it's just HTTP.
Yeah. What does it matter?
What does it matter what the URL that I'm going to is? So yeah, I'm going to spend the $10 and look up what your login credentials are.
And just go that way.
Yeah. Ta-da!
We're still cooking with gas.
Yep. No qualms whatsoever.
Oh, yeah.
White hat hacker wearing a gray hat. Yes. I've also had a couple exploits that I've found and reported to companies. So it's I'm not without my my badges of honor or my merit badges, as they were, when it comes to gray hat hacking. So one of my favorites was the Burger King next to one of my first apartments. Was again one of the only places that had Wi-Fi, and I would go there and I would sit down and I would usually write papers or something like that. There was no Starbucks near me, so I'd just go to Burger King. And I remember one day I just opened a packet sniffer and I started looking around, and there was no segregation on the network. It was just like you could see everything. And back in those days, 90% of the web was HTTP, and so you could see everything in plain text going through. I took a look at, or I did an IP sniff of all the devices on the network and found their access point, and went, oh, cool, there's the access point. I wonder if the admin page is open or if they have it under a device manager of some kind. And, hey, look, the web page loaded. So I typed in admin and it opened. And so I set the, it was an open Wi-Fi network, so I set the Wi-Fi to my own password. And then I had unlimited access, but only me, to the Burger King Wi-Fi.
The Burger King Wi-Fi.
It was like that for like 9 months.
Flame-broiled Wi-Fi.
Yeah, it was like that for like 9 months. Where I could go there and
before they figured anything out. Yeah, yeah, just sit there and do it.
Sorry, because yeah.
No, I think the earliest hacking I ever did was like figuring out how the UPC scanner worked, and the UPC printer, printing out my own UPC labels at the local Kmart.
Yeah.
So I could get stuff cheap.
See, there you're pushing the definition of gray hat by.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That's you know.
I don't mind paying less for something if they simply charge more for the same service because they call it something different. If I'm putting a $2 sticker on a CD that normally costs $30, though, crossing lines.
Well, does that $30 CD really cost that much?
Of course not, but
of course not.
You know, the RIAA has to make theirs. Like
they got to get their cut.
Right. I mean, they're practically starving. I mean, the death of the music industry has been happening since the 1940s.
Oh yeah, everybody knows it.
Once people have records, they're not going to go and see people in concert anymore. They're not going to learn how to play musical instruments. They're just going to sit in their homes and.
Back in the old 60s, there's a music producer out there that had to go without one TV in one bedroom once, and that was devastating.
I will say I did get a little hackerish when it came to like Goodwill, where I would walk through the electronics section and like anything of like any value, they'd have like $30 on, and so I'd scratch off the sticker, and then I'd walk up to the counter and it's like, yeah, how much? I didn't see a sticker on this. Well, yeah, how much do you think that would be? And the manager,
they have no idea,
the
right?
manager would go like, I don't know, $6, and I'm like,
yeah,
you know, that sounds fair.
That's good. That's good.
Did that all the time.
Yeah, they don't know,
right?
I mean, Goodwill's gotten a little bit. I still go there once in a while to see if there's anything interesting tech, and usually there's not.
Store, they finally got wise and they stopped putting everything directly to floor. And so now they usually have localized distribution centers where they will take all of their donations outside of like furniture and large items, but anything of any potential value they will take to a local center.
Take the distribution center and they'll reevaluate.
Look at it, or people who at least know how to eBay shit. And they'll go, oh, that's supposed to be like $700. Let's put that on our eBay or on our auction site, and then the rest that's like $10 and $15 and $20 and $30 we'll just send back to the stores. And so all their high value items are no longer in store, which sucks.
Yeah. Because it was always fun once in a while finding that nice surprise sitting in the electronics department.
Right. I found a Bose Wave radio for $10 one time.
Oh, that's really good.
Yeah. Yeah. Back when they were like $400.
Yeah.
Yeah. It didn't have a remote.
Hey, you could get one of those cheap though.
The remotes were like $80. Are you kidding me?
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
Now, if I had a
Flipper
kind of
ridiculous.
Zero at the time, I could have just programmed something.
Something. Yeah, you could just program it in. But yeah, John got one of those flippers. Those would be kind of cool. I kind of want to mess with one of those.
Mine's on its way. So.
Oh, good.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm looking forward to playing with that.
Yeah, that should be fun.
In other news, Microsoft has, to the surprise of certainly not me, I've been yelling this from the mountaintop for like 4 freaking years. Microsoft is slowly rolling out ads, dedicated ads, not recommended applications, not suggested websites, dedicated ads.
Ads, yeah.
To Windows 11 start menus. Oh, and this is just a service that they decide to opt you in because they don't beta test their crap anymore internally. They're just like, we'll just like have
just throw that there.
30% of the population start getting ads with no user agreement at all to start receiving ads.
let's just see if they complain.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, a lot of the ads are still targeted to internal services. That is like, hey, sign up for OneDrive and you wouldn't have to upgrade your hard drive. Ha ha ha. It's crap like that. It's, won't you buy our services because we're not charging for Windows anymore, even though if you go and look for how much Windows costs, it's still like $100.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's frustrating as all hell because what's the alternative?
Well, you can go look up your old Raspberry Pi video and learn how to block those ads.
You can. Yeah. But that still only goes so far. Because
That's true.
They're delivering a lot of these services through Windows Update. They're not using ad-based URLs to deliver advertisements or suggested apps. You're just getting it as an update package.
Well, the update package could be just a container, like a browser controller, basically, that gets embedded within the context menu or whatever.
Right. But
then that thing will call out a URL.
But at that point, we're talking about a post-rollout blacklist rather than a pre-rollout whitelist.
Right.
Is,
yeah. That's you would have to go in and monitor that and figure out where it's coming from and block it yourself.
Right.
Obviously.
Right.
But it'd be possible.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think. And it's probably just a browser controlled or embedded control within part of their interface. It's probably what it is.
Yeah. So you're getting things like this. Folders like documents and pictures will be saved to the cloud to help keep them safe. Start your backup now. And you click on it and it goes, hey, why don't you buy space on OneDrive to make this easy? And yes, I understand that Microsoft is slowly transitioning into a service company, less of a software company. The problem is they've established themselves as the de facto operating system on desktop PCs worldwide.
Professionals use this stuff. And they get ads spammed to them.
Right. Speaking of paying less for something simply because it's the same name, the Windows I have been installing lately has been Windows 11 Professional for workstations.
Okay.
Not Windows 11 Pro. Windows 11 Pro for workstations. It's not as good as LTSC, as it's not the only filtered down certified updates, once per half or once per quarter kind of thing.
Yeah.
You still get feature updates, you still get all that kind of stuff, which is fine, but there's none of the start menu, pre-installed application, OneDrive reminders, etc., etc. Now, how do you activate that? Because Microsoft won't let you. Great question. If only there were a key management service emulator that you could look up somewhere like GitHub that was readily available, that you could host yourself and update.
You can ask ChatGPT.
Now, here's the deal. Over the years, Microsoft has gotten more than their fair share of money from me, both for Windows licenses, for Windows Server licenses, for everything else. I still will buy Windows Professional licenses for all the PCs that I have, but I may activate them with Windows 11 Professional for workstations. It's not my fault they didn't want to sell me this.
Yeah.
So that's my gray hat recommendation of the day. Is
now this is now are these ads? It doesn't say what version of Windows 11. Is it Home or is Professional going to be spared this?
The only difference anymore between Home and Professional is not the use case. It's not
it's the updates.
This is for professionals, so we need to no. The only difference is Windows Home cannot join an Active Directory domain, and Windows Professional can. That's the differentiating feature between those two operating systems.
Now, what about Enterprise?
Enterprise is basically professional and also opens some more group policy options. So if you have an Active Directory server, you can host or you can use group policy objects and object editor to further define more behaviors and things like that with it. You have a little bit more flexibility with the OS, but at its heart, it is still Windows 11 Professional. And Enterprise does not activate via consumer keys. It only activates via key management systems. Gotcha. So you have to host your own KMS or have a corporate KMS to be able to host that. Windows Pro for Professionals is also technically a KMS only activation, where you have to have, like, we're a corporation that owns 3,000 CAD engineer workstations, and this is what we want to install in them. Cool, we'll sell you that. Instead of like, hey, I have one CAD engineer workstation. They go, tough crap, here's some ads. Yeah. Don't forget that you can't remote desktop into a home license. Since when? RDP has always been available for that, unless they changed it with Windows 11.
No, I don't think so. I'm pretty sure the home is. I mean, I don't know. I've never installed home version of home on any PC in my home ever. Yeah. But I don't really know. But
yeah,
I don't think so either.
Yeah. And Vince says there's both MAK and KMS keys. I believe there are MAK keys for Windows 11 for workstations, but you have to prove you are an enterprise user. And typically, you're going to have a KMS or some kind of license agreement with Microsoft to be able to get that licensure. RDP doesn't work with home. What the Microsoft? Seriously?
I could have.
When did you take that out? And what?
See, here's the thing that even
that make?
Home has remote support, which is basically RDP. Mm-hmm. It is literally RDP. It's just like limited version of RDP. So I bet you there's a hack around it. There's got to be.
Yeah. Denver says there is a registry mod. Yeah, you can't as a server. Since when? I used to RDP into Windows 7, Windows 8, and I think Windows 10 workstations all the time with home licensure.
Yeah. I think that the tech is still there, but they might be right. There could just be a registry key that you can do to
which
turn
is
it on
exactly
or
what
like
it is. It's, hey, we're going to give you less features in this and
Yeah.
further justify why you're getting ads because, oh, we can't give you RDP. That's a pro feature. Windows 10 was the same. Okay. And again, maybe I've been out of it for a while, and maybe my support background is finally catching up with me, but we used it with Windows 8 and Windows 7 all the time with home license.
I've never even glanced at home, even when they first announced. I think was it XPs when they first had XP Home.
Right. Yeah, that's when they first
had the Home Edition. Yeah, they had that.
2000 had some differentiation as well. There was a Windows 2000 Professional, and there was a Windows 2000 Standard.
Yeah, but I think the first time they ever differentiated between versions of it was XP.
Yeah, with XP, that is where they started differentiating the domain credential login for Active Directory.
The Home, Pro, and Enterprise.
Correct. Yeah. So yeah. What the hell, Windows? Like, seriously.
I that's kind of a surprise to me because I've never used the home version, so I don't know. But I always thought that you can RDP into it, no problem, because they have that remote help feature built in there.
I feel less and less guilty about not not using the version of Windows I paid for. Less and less guilty every day.
Oh yeah.
If I'm going to be the product. Well, first off, I'm not going to be the product. I'm
going to take advantage of you. I'm going to take advantage of it.
If KMS has been broken for years, and there are KMS emulators that you can download.
Oh yeah, there's
GitHub
tons of
that
them.
Are completely open source.
Oh yeah, they're very easy to find.
Yeah. Yeah, and I have no qualms about it because Microsoft has made plenty of money from me over the years. Yeah. Piracy is almost never an active theft. It's usually an active availability. You won't sell
pretty much
Windows 11
so.
Pro for workstations.
Well, I mean, like.
So I can't.
If you look, torrenting PC games and just pirating PC games was rampant until Steam came along and it became affordable and easy.
Right.
And then pirating it's still there. Don't get me wrong, but no one ever complains about, oh, my game got pirated too much. Like, you don't hear that anymore.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'll speak for the audience when I say, like, 2004 through 2010. Of course, I pirated half the games.
Oh yeah. I still got binders full of evidence.
Right.
So it's like,
I'm not innocent in this.
yeah.
But they've also shown that those who are the most enthusiastic about having a lot of games and playing a lot of games are the same people who are enthusiastic about owning a lot of audio CDs and having access to libraries of music and media and TV shows and movies and video games and everything else. We're also the people who spend the most money on it.
Of course, yeah. So you give them a way to get to that easily.
Yeah.
And affordably.
Yeah, it's an accessibility issue.
Accessibility thing, yeah.
Not a pricing or a theft issue, and that's always been the case.
Well, it's kind of a pricing issue too, because I mean, you could make it easily accessible and make it like extremely expensive, then pirating is going to go back up.
99% of the time, it hasn't been a price issue though.
Well, no, it hasn't been. Not for video games anyway.
Right.
It's quickly becoming that way for streaming though.
Mm-hmm.
With the fragmentation of the services and the increasing costs and the ratcheting down on sharing has caused that to go back up. But
the biggest change that we've seen in media over the last 15 years has been the unwillingness to give permanent access to said media.
Yeah.
It's the Disney Vault approach. It's the buy this VHS while you still can before we put it in the vault for no arbitrary reason at all, and won't sell you a copy of it for the next 20 years. So if you want to watch Peter Pan with your kids, you better have that VHS now, because we won't be releasing it until 2010. So Disney figured this out a long time ago.
Oh yeah, and then they'd slap collector's edition on the front of it too,
right?
Just to goad you a little bit more,
right.
Even though they put out 2 million units of the thing, it's like not rare at all.
Correct. Yeah. Everyone says Apple was the first one to kind of do digital scarcity. No. Disney by far did digital scarcity. I mean, that's the whole point of the Disney Vault, is to say, buy this now while you still can. And they sold 4 million copies. But it was the 1980s, and we were too stupid to see through that.
Yeah.
And so every single one of you and every single one of your parents probably has still an entire library of Disney VHS tapes, lining the wall of some
I do.
Somewhere.
I still have some. I got them somewhere in the back.
Yeah.
Oh heck, my dad even has reel-to-reel recordings of radio stations because he didn't want to buy the records. He still has that type of stuff.
Yeah. But there was a lot of piracy in the mid to late 2000s, and wouldn't you know it, in 2008 Steam went we're gonna start doing things other than just Half-Life 2 and the Red Box. We're gonna start selling other companies' games on a digital storefront that has easy, simple DRM that is secure, so companies can feel confident that if someone's playing a game on Steam, they purchased that game on Steam. They can only play the game in one location at a time, and they have to log into their account. There's no sharing of those games, there's no sharing of those titles, but it guarantees that every person who logs into Steam has a license to play that game, and bada bing, bada boom. And consumers ate it up, because all of a sudden they could start buying games at reasonable prices. That didn't have Denuvo and Secure ROM and all the other overly intrusive BIOS level DRM things that Sony was introducing at the time and whatnot else. And I can play my game, and it's easy. And I hit install, and it installs, and I hit play, and it plays. And I bought the game, and now I can play the game. Cool. that was always the issue. The issue wasn't like I don't want to buy the game, I don't want to play the game. The issue was, insert CD4 to play the game.
Right. Right.
How many CDs and DVDs is this game going to come on? And then, I'll tell you, in 2008, I had an issue that I still haven't forgiven EA for. I received a physical copy of Need for Speed Shift. Might have been 2009, but I think it was 2008. Need for Speed Shift. Came on 2 CDs, came in a jewel case, purchased direct from GameStop, had the retail box and everything else, and it was nice. It was a nice Christmas gift for me. Christmas morning, opened it up. Family was excited. I was like, yeah, all right, cool. I've been kind of waiting to play this game. Like, all right. And so I went and installed the game. And then I went, yeah, let's go online. And I said, sorry, we can't validate your CD key.
Like, what?
Let me type it in again. Sorry, we can't validate your CD key. This is a brand new
purchased,
retail box CD key. You accepted it on the install, but when I go to log in online, you say no. Okay. So I email EA Tech Support, and they say, hey, can you prove to me that you bought this game? I went, well, yeah. I
physically
have the box
this.
and the CDs.
Yeah.
Can you send us a picture of the box and the CDs and your CD key? Okay. And so I scanned I opened up a flatbed scanner, scanned both the CDs and the jewel case and the retail box. And I said, here you go. And they said, okay, well, we're going to issue you a new CD key. But be careful with this one. What?
Careful with it. What, spill it?
I'm going to type it in once and hopefully forget it forever. What the hell is wrong with you?
Yeah.
So I install the game. Boom, I can finally play it. I can finally play online. Works for 3 days. And then after 3 days, it goes, sorry, you have an invalid CD key. I went, what the crap? And so I contact EA support again, and I respond to the previous ticket, and they say, sorry, that ticket has been closed. You'll need to open a new ticket. So I open a new ticket, and I say, hey, so I was given the gift as a Christmas present in a retail box, in a sealed retail box, contacted support because my original CD key didn't work. They issued me a second CD key. Now that CD key is not working. And they said, hey, you need to prove that you bought the game.
Again?
Here's the files. Okay, we see that CD key's already been used. That's why I'm talking to you.
Yeah.
And they said, we can't issue you a new CD key because we see that you've used it before. Okay, here's the previous ticket. Here's the previous thread where they gave me a new CD key. I'm not trying to freaking scam you. I'm just trying to play my goddamn game online. And finally, they give me a third CD key. Okay? That works for 2 weeks. And then it says, sorry, you have an invalid CD key.
Oh my god.
I gave up.
Do they keep giving you demo CD keys or something like that?
I gave up.
What are they doing?
I played the hell out of that game single player. I had a full sit-down cockpit with a steering wheel and everything.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And I played the hell out of that game. But I could never play it online because of EA's DRM system.
Garbage. Yeah.
Where they said, sorry, that CD key's invalid. We can't use it. And they treated me like the victim.
To say that EA's gotten better would not be
like the perpetrator.
I don't think that EA's gotten much better, to be honest.
They haven't
lately.
I mean,
no, they really haven't.
They both founded and then burned to the ground their own online store in the time since that story happened and today.
Yeah.
So no, they have not gotten any better. Denver sends over $5. Thank you again, Denver. Dang, you spoiled me tonight. Loved Steam because I was more safe in assuming the activation servers didn't go down permanently. Still can play Battlefield Vietnam through 2142.
Still can't play, yeah.
Yeah, still can't play, excuse me.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's a problem of online gaming. And game preservation is going to be incredibly important in the next 10 years.
Oh, I mean, 2142 was my absolute favorite Battlefield.
Yeah.
Hands down. I love
Yeah.
that game. And they do have bootleg servers out there, true. But yeah, the fact that EA is not supporting any of those servers anymore, even though I think I think it's about it. I think 2142 is about as popular as 2042 is right now.
Outside of multiplayer gaming, like 2142, insanely awesome game, dedicated community. They love playing multiplayer. There are single player games that are going dark forever.
Oh yeah, because they had an online component attached to it for no reason whatsoever.
Right. They said, hey, there's a social media aspect to this. Oh, sorry, we're shutting down that little plugin, so the game's going to cease to function. We'll patch it out of it. Well, it's a core component of the game, so we really can't.
Or like what another infamous EA thing with the SimCity, where they said, oh no, it has to be connected because it's doing network computing type stuff.
SimCity 4.
And then they were like, oh no, we hacked it so it doesn't work and it doesn't need it. It doesn't need it. Obviously you're lying to us.
It turns out the computer was inside your house the whole time.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. No, EA's got a whole line of just garbage online history.
Yeah.
Of requiring you to be online for no reason whatsoever.
Yeah. So yeah, if you are at all a fan of gaming in general, please pay attention to game preservation efforts. There was a big story in the last couple of weeks, and I didn't get a chance to talk about it, of the entire 3DS and Wii U library being saved by someone trying to spend like $80,000 on the Nintendo store and being stopped at every turn. From some component or another of like, you can only spend $100 a day, and then you can only upload so many gift cards to your account.
Right.
And stores will only sell you so many gift cards, and you can only save so many games onto an SD card regardless of the amount of space, because Nintendo uses this ridiculous block storage component, and they say you can only have 300 files installed on the card at a time. And so all of a sudden you have like all of these different components working against you of like, I just want somewhere there to be a library that these games once existed.
Yeah.
And maybe for future people to be able to play them.
And to be able to play it on native hardware, too.
Right. Native hardware, or even through emulation, because that, as dirty of a name as emulation is, especially when it comes to consoles.
Oh, I don't think it's dirty. I don't think it's dirty at all.
You don't work for Nintendo.
Well, yeah, Nintendo thinks it's dirty, obviously.
From the standpoint of Nintendo, if you are playing Link to the Past on a PC today, you have stolen an entire legacy of Zelda games and, more importantly, Zelda revenue from our company. You were supposed to buy that game for the Super Nintendo, for the Super Famicom system, and only play it there. You do not have a valid cartridge. That is money directly out of our... It's such bullshit.
Yeah, no, it's absolute garbage.
Because, I'm sorry, I had a physical copy of Link to the Past. I still have physical copies of Final Fantasy II, Final Fantasy III, Chrono Trigger, and a couple others.
I do too.
Guess who was still playing them in emulation in 1996?
Yep. Because it was more convenient.
Because it was more convenient.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, pay attention to game preservation efforts. Pay attention to game historian efforts. Pay attention to the battle going on against archive.org right now when it comes to library access and the rights of a nonprofit organization to keep an archive of digital files.
Yeah. Absolutely.
It's not piracy. It's preservation.
That's what I'm going to say when the FBA rides my home. They come in.
Just let me know when you post the GoFundMe.
Yeah, okay. There we go.
Yeah. Yeah. Say no to ET landfills. Jeremy says.
Didn't they just do that to some of the Funko Pop stuff? Didn't they do ET landfill stuff?
Did they go full ET?
Yeah, I think I read something about the Funko Pop had produced way more than what they were, and they ended up being just worthless, so they just threw them in a landfill. I think Funko landfill. Yeah, Funko Pop hits landfill.
Wow.
Company moves to throw 30 million worth of excess just into the dumpster.
Good Lord. Or, $28 of ABS injection molded plastic.
Yeah, exactly.
But think of the $28 million in licensing they had to pay to throw those away.
Well, not only that, but then there's also manufacturing and packaging costs on top of that.
Right. Speaking of manufacturing and packaging costs, I teased this earlier on social media, and I know I've teased this on this show as well, and I think we'll close with this because we're coming up on 2 hours.
We are.
I am relaunching Craft Computing's merch store on May 1st. Why the relaunch? Well, while I got merch up and running with a partner company that I was working with, and while they kind of got me into the merch game, it was not at all profitable for me. I was lucky to make like $100 a month off of it. And I didn't have a lot of control over the process. There were only certain items that I could produce. There was only certain designs that I could use. There was only so much leeway that I had as far as liability. I wanted to make a Raid is Not a Backup shirt in the style of Raid Shadow Legends. And they said, Great. Well, we're not going to host that. And I said, why not? It is clearly parody and fair use.
Yeah.
And they said, we're just not comfortable with that. And I went, well, that's crap. And so anyway, I am bringing craftcomputing.store in-house on May 1st. And I've got some really exciting things that I'm going to be launching on that storefront. So you want to talk like control of your supply chain? How about like manufacturing things in-house? So these were done on my home laser cutter, and they'll be up on craftcomputing.store. These are slate coasters. They're going to be available in 2-packs and 4-packs. And all designed in-house. This is all 100% original design work. You got my logo. You got this circuit pattern. I've got bottle openers with similar patterns. So they've got the circuit board design on them. I'm also looking at doing bottle openers with, in case of DNS.
Oh, yeah.
So you can hang the bottle opener on your wall.
I like
your emergency hammer.
What you have to do when you finally go live with it, you got to do a commercial where it's like you get like this whip, and you're like, Rhett, we got a new order. And you got him in there with the hammer and chisel on the slate going, I'm getting as fast as I can. Okay.
You know what's really funny?
We're bringing it all in-house, guys.
Is the reason I decided to make this move. Now, from the very beginning, before I had even started Craft Computing, like I had decided on a domain name and I decided on a channel name. But it's like, okay, what do you want this to be? And is this going to be a money-making endeavor? Is this just going to be a hobby? And I'm like, well, it's going to be a hobby, but what happens if it's a money-making endeavor? Do I want to host my own merch? And my answer was always, I do not want to be a logistics company. I do not want to be shipping, receiving, manufacturing, etc. That is in spite of the fact that in a past life, I was a CNC machinist, and it was one of the funnest jobs that I've ever had in my life. I operated a 6-foot by 12-foot 9-axis CNC machine, and holy crap, I loved every minute of it. Even when I was getting yelled at in that job, I was like, this is so freaking cool. I'm like that much of a nerd about like CNC stuff. And so getting the chance to like, engrave my own bottle openers and
cool.
whatever designs that I
design
want.
your own, whatever you like.
By the way, these are actually actually engraved. They're textured and everything else. They're wonderful. But I'm like, you know what? It's something that I enjoy. And it's something if I have full control over. And I'm going to say from a business standpoint, you also retain 100% of the profit. Where your materials cost, if you host everything in-house, goes way down. obviously you have machining fees because these machines that do this are not cheap.
They need maintenance too. And everything.
You got maintenance, and then you have packaging, and you have shipping, and everything else that goes into the overhead of that. But at the same time, it was like $25 for a glass on craftcomputing.store. If I can etch a glass myself and source glasses myself and then ship them myself and design them myself and everything else, instead of like 8% profit margin, I'm looking at like 80% profit margin. And it doesn't take a lot of arithmetic to figure out I can make more money doing that. So, yeah. Some in the Discord, Patreon, Floatplane, etc., have seen some of my crafting prowess when it comes to custom water bottles. I don't know if I'll be offering these available for sale in bulk or not, because those are a heck of a lot of work. Those are like an hour on the laser cutter. Yeah. But I am looking at offering a good number of things, including like hip flasks and barware and bottle openers and coasters and glasses, both beer glasses and IPA glasses and rocks glasses and things like that in a variety of different styles, and things that I would actually use here. Things that I can get behind using and have full control over the entire process. So if you're excited about that, if you want to support craft computing, it's a fantastic way to do so. And I am really looking forward to the launch of the new store.
I'm looking forward to a craft computing Ouija board. Just to, to solve those tech questions that I really can't figure out. I can consult the craft computing Ouija board. Ask the spirits what's going on. That's going to be a big moneymaker for you, I
don't know if you remember this, but do you remember the drive up to PAX?
Oh yeah, of course I remember that drive.
When we were talking about dick measuring contests.
Oh yeah.
Maybe we have to come out with an oak plank.
An oak plank pre-etched with measurements.
Yes. Yeah.
With a little padded indentation at the base, just to rest for comfort.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah,
you could measure in comfort.
Maybe we'll have to come up with something like that. So, anyway, this is going to do it for episode 280 here on Talking Heads. Join us every Wednesday night at 6 p.m. Pacific time for the latest in beer and tech news. Follow me on Mastodon at Craft Computing at hostux.social. Link down in the video description. Follow Steve, the other white meat.
Yeah.
That's what I went with tonight.
Oh, the other white meat. That's fine.
Couldn't resist. Steve, anything else? Great of the order?
I would be like the most delicious long pork you've ever had. I guarantee it. I'm barrel aged. I'm soaked in whiskey and I'm soaked in whiskey and bourbon. I'd be a delicious long pork.
He's even got a little barley wine in him tonight.
Yeah, that's right. Exactly.
Ladies. All right. Yeah, people are asking how I did this. The paint layer is burned off. These are actually powder coated, and then the powder coating is burnt off. And so these are really cool and super durable. And textured and really, really nice. Like, from someone who really appreciates like textures on things, I love the feel of the water bottles. Super excited about those. The hip flasks are also going to be very similar, but much faster to produce. So
smaller, and flatter.
8-ounce hip flasks coming to the store. Lots of other items, and I'm open to suggestions as well as open to custom orders, customizations. Like if I'm doing manufacturing, I might as well like frickin' do it. So Develop Hub says patiently waiting on your water bottle. Believe it or not, we started shipping today. We sent out 10 water bottles today, and we're hoping to do between 6 and 8 per day over the next number of couple of weeks. We have, I think, another 60 to ship. So hopefully within the next 2 weeks, we have everyone's done and out. So if you bought one, it's on its way.
We want a craft computing sexy calendar with Rhett posing in front of server builds.
I mean, If he's up for it.
I think he is. I can see that look in his eye.
But is he up for it?
Depends on what you show him.
Yeah, that's right. That's going to do it. Thank you all so much for watching. And as always, we